Deep in the quiet forest, far from the hustle and bustle of the city, a man chooses a different life. With bare hands and strong determination, he begins his adventure to build his dream house, out of wood, on the riverbank. Today, he explores the forest, looking for the right tree. Not just any tree, a tree strong, old, and long enough to be the foundation of a house. Once found, with great care, he begins to cut it down. Not only to build, but also to respect nature. Once he reaches the riverbank, he begins to clear the area, cutting down bushes, leveling the ground, and determining the direction of the sun, because this house is not just for shelter, but to be one with nature. With the logs that have been cut, he begins to build the foundation. One by one, the wood is positioned and tied tightly, using rattan rope and natural pegs. No nails, just ancient techniques that have been passed down from generation to generation. However, nature is not without its tests. The rain comes without warning, the ground becomes slippery, the strength becomes because you know every challenge is part of the When night fell, he sat beside the fire, gazing at his work with gratitude and pride. This is not just a house, it is a symbol of prosperity, freedom, and closeness. A reminder of the patience of all great things started in To build a green home, the first step is a Once the bridge is finished, it's time to build the foundation of the house. Not with concrete, but with your own hands and wood that you cut down yourself. Post by post is carefully erected. Each board is adjusted to size with a handsaw. There is no architect, no blueprint, just instinct, experience, and self-confidence. This is not just a wall. It is a shield from the cold wind, from the rain of the forest, and from the harshness of the wilderness. Every nail hammered is proof that humans and nature can walk side by side. With simple tools, determination is everything. One more part is done, but the journey is still long. Once the poles are upright and the walls are starting to take shape, it's time to carve out the details. Not with a chisel, but with the power and precision of a machine. The chainsaw becomes the primary tool for shaping windows, doors, or simply adjusting the angles to make everything fit. Every cut is a decision. Once you make a mistake, you can't do it again. This is what hard work looks like. Rough, dusty, but purposeful. From here, a simple building begins to transform into a dream home. The next step is to protect the entire structure, to install a roof. Here, each wooden board is stacked one by one, carefully, like the protective scales on a dragon's back. No heavy equipment, no modern aids, just perseverance, nails, and balance. In the quiet of the forest, the sound of hammering becomes a soothing rhythm. This roof is not only to protect against rain and wind, but also to crown a work built by one's own hands. Next, it was time to give the cabin a window, and not just any window, but a circular window that is a signature of the natural aesthetic design. With great precision, a large hole was carved and cut from a pitch board, forming a light and open. The window not only provides a beautiful view outside, but also connects the interior space to the serene and pristine nature outside. Once the frame and sides of the cabin were complete, the man moved on to the roof. Although the wooden planks had already curved over the top, he planned to add a more natural finishing touch, to cover the roof with a layer of grass and soil so that the cabin would truly blend into the surrounding forest landscape. With great care, he began spreading a thin layer of clay over the wooden planks, making sure to fill any gaps so that the grass could grow or adhere properly. Then, he lifted up rolls of wild grass that he had previously collected from around the forest, still with their roots and soil, so that they would stay alive and not easily fall off. One by one, the grass was laid on the roof, starting at the bottom and stacking upwards like natural trees. This was done so that rainwater could run off without being soaked directly into the ground. This process not only added aesthetic value, but also created natural insulation. Within a few hours, the small cabin was finished. Its stiff windows and small version of the After the exterior of the cabin was completed and its roof perfectly covered with green grass, the man opened the simple wooden door he had just installed and stepped inside. The room was still empty, with only rough plank walls and a wooden floor made of repurposed, smoothed out granite. But in his mind, he could already envision the warmth that would soon fill the space. His first task was to build a simple fireplace. In one corner of the cabin, he dug out a small patch of earth and arranged large stones to gather. Using a simple yet effective technique, he fashioned a small chimney upright so the smoke could escape without burning. On top of the stones, he stacked firewood. Instantly, the cabin came alive. The warm firelight danced across the wooden walls, driving away the cold that crept in from the forest. Once the fireplace was done, he began constructing the wood frame, using small logs and strips of fireplace was lit and the bed neatly arranged, he glanced around the empty room. He knew that for this cabin to be truly functional,